unfortunate kid was so flamboyant and out there, he could hardly contain himself. And so people made fun of him and they teased him, and it was horrible. And I didn't do anything about protecting this kid because I was unable to keep that us and them away, so I didn't even think about that. But it's just an outgrowth of what I was taught, that all people deserve respect and acceptance, minimally tolerance, and that it affected my life a lot. But it was such a negative. I had so much internalized homophobia. I am not okay the way I am. And then by then I was a mother, and that was just, oh my God, I couldn't even conceive of that, because I thought about what the hardships would be for Michael if I ever was who I fully was. So I don't want people in any situation to go through the kinds of negative feelings about themselves as I did. You're afraid at work. You were afraid that that you would lose your friends. You know, there are tons and tons of experiences for people to say, well, they came out and said they're just their friends just disappeared. But that was the same at work. I don't know, you're not asking about work, but the same thing. You had to, if you had an important person in your life, you had to be deceptive, deliberately deceptive. It was terrible to, we presented ourselves as roommates. And that the trouble is that we knew that we had to protect Michael, because we knew a lot of people whose kids had just been hammered on because their parents were lesbian and gay. So we just said, just pretend that we're roommates and that we're together, you know. And so asking me to have a child lie to protect him was really uncomfortable. And so we started working with Gay and Lesbian Coalition with the Central Pacific Conference. And what we did is, and Jan actually did more of this than I did because I was home more with Michael, but we did educational presentations, 6 weeks education, just education, not promoting anybody to do anything, but just say, here's some facts, here's some information that may help you understand what's going on here. You know, I know that to have democracy work for us, we have to elect people that we want, and we have to be there for them, and we have to support them because they are often at odds with everybody else. And we have to care. I care enough to take it, you know, to call, to canvas, to connect, because I think people are so many people, not all, so many people are just blasé about what it means to be actively involved in keeping democracy alive. I'm so frightened by people who say, well, I don't like what I see because I'm just not going to vote. I think, oh my God, then you're just giving it all away. It just felt wonderful. And we never in our whole lives ever envisioned being able to marry. So the kinds of things that will allow people to feel fully human, even if they're slightly different in the way they live their lives than the majority, is my dream for anybody that's in. That was the seed for the gay rights movement in Oregon. So the most oppressive kind of thing happening to disempower gays empowered them the most. And so I think basic rights now is expanded to do a lot of other things, and they're really inclusive of the rural organizing, you know, organization, a couple of other things. So it's interesting, being pressed into a corner sometimes allows people to push back up. I would say I have a lot of hope in your generation.
Yeah.
Tons. That's it. And for the one of the things that I'll remember for a long time is like it's still being straight allies. And when people of color talk about how important it is to have somebody to look around and say you're there, it's huge. So from the beginning, people would march in that parade and bring their babies and kids, and it was such an empowering thing because, of course, you ran the risk of thinking, "Oh, she's gay too," or something. It was a terrible risk for them to take, but they did it. You know, they were upstanders, and that's a huge debt. And that's what makes that church such an incredibly important place for us. For most people who are gay, the worst place for them to be is at church. Mm-hmm. The worst. And that was the safest place Jen and I ever felt when we first were out. Safest. Pretty special.